Hi everyone, welcome to 5 Minute Video Study for the NCE. Today we are in clinical focus and we're going to be talking about subcategory AN, adoption issues. Adoption parents can be couples who might struggle with their own pregnancies, or might want to have an adoptee who they bring into their family for various reasons, right? It's not just that they can't become pregnant. It could be several reasons. So families are formed in many ways, and adoption is part of that process. And there can be various types of adoptions. The child can be U.S. born, or it can also be born abroad, and that may involve the child to join their new family. In a variety of ages, right? It could be an infant, it could be a toddler, but normally for adoption to happen, they have to be 18, below the age of 18, because usually by 18 they're considered adults. So children could be of the same ethnicity, or they can be of a different ethnicity. Domestic adoptions, they usually have agencies that they work with, and they usually have an attorney. But they also may involve mental health clinicians through the process, because a lot of the agencies might have certain requirements, and then those requirements may involve parenting classes or therapy, or couples therapy, or it can depending on the agency, it can look very different. So the decision to adopt in the counseling sense, could be a very difficult one, especially if the client mentions infertility. They can go through kind of what that loss, or if they got pregnant but then had complications and the baby didn't survive, that can also be part of that loss and grief. But there can also be fears, right? Because there's a risk. What type of adoption do I want to go through? Do I trust the adoption agency? Do I have the means? Because a lot of this costs money, and it is quite expensive. So that can also be a factor. Also, the stress on the marriage, or the couples, if they have a partner, could be quite a big theme for many people going through this process, because the whole notion. And it's also important to keep in mind that it can't just be adoption. There can also be the foster care. So caring for someone temporarily when they change placements could also be another consideration. Or if they go through the foster care first and then they decide to adopt, that can also be a consideration in the counseling world. So, in counseling, you may see that the parents are recommended, and then the child could be recommended because of the changes, feeling like that there's changes, feeling like it's not their family, you're having a lot of different players, and those changes can certainly impact the dynamic. So some of the emotions that you may see, especially from the child, could be withdrawal from others, not performing well in school, anger, outbursts, tantrums, aggressive behaviors, anxiety, fears, difficulties getting along, and then trouble sleeping. So that's, part of the adoption process is understanding those dynamics, understanding how mental health can play a role, especially when individuals have stress, and how all that can be a very complicated dynamic.